The world is constantly in flux, and what was once commonplace can become a thing of the past in the blink of an eye. The 1980s, a decade often romanticized for its big hair and even bigger ideas, was a time when a different set of rules and norms governed daily life. From the way people traveled to the simple errands they ran, the freedom of the 80s often came with a lack of awareness about the potential risks involved. Looking back, many of these seemingly innocent behaviors now highlight just how much our society has evolved, trading some of that wild, unregulated fun for a greater emphasis on safety, accountability, and legal oversight. Remember the iconic image of kids riding in the back of a pickup truck? It was a quintessential symbol of childhood freedom in the 1980s. With the wind whipping through their hair and the sun on their faces, it felt like the ultimate adventure. Who needed a seatbelt when you had the entire open-air truck bed to yourself? It was a common sight on rural roads and suburban streets alike, with families, friends, and even pets piling in for a quick trip to the store or a long drive to the lake. The casual attitude toward this practice was a reflection of a different time, one where safety regulations were less stringent and the perception of risk was far more relaxed. However, this freedom came with significant and often fatal risks. Safety experts knew that riding in a cargo bed was incredibly dangerous. A person in the back of a pickup is 26 times more likely to be thrown out during a crash. Even a sudden stop or a pothole could cause a serious fall, resulting in severe injuries or death. According to a study by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, between 1994 and 1996 alone, 558 people were killed in the US while riding in pickup beds, with over 30% of these fatalities being children under the age of 16. These sobering statistics underscored the need for change. Today, the freewheeling days are over. While laws vary by state, most have enacted major restrictions, usually based on age. In states like California and New York, it's almost completely banned, with very few exceptions. Other states, such as Kansas and Louisiana, have age restrictions. For example, under 14 and under 12 respectively. What was once a common sight is now a shocking one, demonstrating a profound shift in our societal understanding of vehicle safety and the legal responsibilities of drivers. In the 1980s, the concept of a single errand for a child was far different than it is today. It was not uncommon for a parent to send their child to the corner store with a note and some cash to buy a pack of cigarettes or a six-pack of beer. This was often seen as a sign of trust and a normal rite of passage, a way for a child to prove their maturity and independence. The store owner, who often knew the family, would accept the note without question. This began to change dramatically during the decade, as public health concerns about tobacco and alcohol use gained traction. In 1984, President Reagan signed the National Minimum Drinking Age Act, which required states to raise the legal age for purchasing alcohol to 21, or risk losing federal highway funds. For tobacco, the rules varied for years, but the Signer Amendment in 1992 pushed states to enforce a minimum age of 18. Today, it is illegal for a minor to purchase these products, and on December 20th, 2019, the federal minimum age for all tobacco product sales was raised to 21 nationwide, with no exceptions. What was once a simple errand is now a crime for both the retailer who sells to a minor and the adult who sent them. For many in the 1980s, the mixtape was an art form. It was a carefully curated collection of songs recorded from the radio or an album, a labor of love and a deeply personal statement. Taping music was a social ritual, a way to share your favorite songs with friends and express your personality. The practice was so widespread that it even gave rise to a popular expression, making a mixtape. The music industry, however, saw it as a major threat to their business model. They launched a now infamous campaign with the slogan, "Home taping is killing music." While most people ignored the campaign, the underlying legal issue of copyright infringement became the basis for future legal battles in the digital age. The legal landscape around music has changed dramatically. The art of the mixtape has become a relic of a time before digital piracy laws turned a casual hobby into a high-stakes legal issue. Today, while making a personal playlist for yourself isn't a crime, the illegal distribution of copyrighted music through file-sharing platforms can lead to serious legal trouble. In the 1980s, big hair was a statement, and the secret weapon was a thick cloud of aerosol hairspray. It was a cultural staple, and the idea of it causing harm to the environment seemed preposterous. The convenience and style it offered outweighed any potential concerns. However, scientists were uncovering a serious environmental problem. The propellants used in these cans were chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs. By the mid-80s, the discovery of a massive ozone hole over Antarctica confirmed that CFCs were eating away at the planet's protective ozone layer, which shields Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. The world responded with surprising speed. In 1987, dozens of countries signed the Montreal Protocol, a historical treaty to phase out ozone-depleting substances. Today, CFCs are banned in aerosols worldwide. This was one of the most successful international environmental agreements in history. What was once a simple vanity product became the focus of global efforts to protect the planet, demonstrating a fundamental shift in our understanding of our impact on the environment and our ability to take collective action. The 1980s saw the launch of the War on Drugs, a campaign that completely reshaped America's legal system and had a lasting impact on communities, particularly communities of color. The centerpiece of this campaign was the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986, which introduced severe mandatory minimum sentences for drug offenses. This law created a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine. This meant that possessing just 5 grams of crack cocaine, a form more common in poorer, predominantly black communities, carried the same 5-year mandatory sentence as having 500 grams of powder cocaine, more often used by wealthier white individuals. This disparity was a critical factor in the skyrocketing incarceration rates and the widening racial gap in the prison population. The consequences were immediate and devastating. The number of people in prison for non-violent drug offenses skyrocketed, and the racial gap in the prison population grew wider. From 1980 to 2000, the number of people incarcerated for drug-related offenses increased by 1,000%. During the same period, the incarceration rate for black people rose by 275%, compared to a 180% increase for white people. By 2000, black people were being incarcerated for drug offenses at a rate 10 times higher than white people. Behavior that might have gotten a slap on the wrist in another era now came with life-altering prison time, highlighting a major shift in how the legal system addressed substance use. Before caller ID was widespread, the prank phone call was a rite of passage for kids. Jokes like, "Is your refrigerator running?" were a silly, low-stakes way to get a laugh.
Hey, is your refrigerator running?
And most people saw it as harmless fun. Today, that harmless fun can lead to serious legal trouble. What used to be an annoying joke can now be prosecuted as harassment or disorderly conduct. The line is crossed when a call becomes threatening, obscene, or part of a pattern intended to harass someone. Even more serious is the rise of swatting, where someone makes a fake emergency report to send a SWAT team to a person's house. This has turned prank calls into a potentially deadly offense. Making a false report to 911 is a serious crime in every state, with punishments ranging from huge fines to jail time. The simple joke from the 80s now exists in a world where the potential for real harm is taken very seriously. The shift from a world with a limited sense of accountability to a digitally connected one where actions can have severe real-world consequences has turned a childish prank into a dangerous and illegal act. From the car you drove to the hairspray you used, the 1980s were a different world with a different set of rules. The freedoms of yesterday often became the felonies of today. A society traded some of that wild, unregulated fun for more safety and accountability. Looking back, a lot of what was normal then would never fly today. And maybe that's for the best.